Hey everybody, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, making another video for you out of Boise, Idaho. And what you're looking at is the front driver's side wheel bearing or wheel hub on a 2000 Dodge Durango SLT 4x4. There you go. Good looking truck. So if you watched my previous video, it came in with some complaints of some suspension noise and other things, possibly thought to be bad ball joints. The noise that it was making was a womp 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 type noise. As you were driving down the road, the noise would get faster and louder the faster you drove it. It would also get slower and change pitch the slower you drove. Depending upon whether you were turning left or right, also the noise would change. Ultimately, it turned out not to be ball joints. It turned out to be a bad wheel bearing. You can look in there and see that it's just completely shot. So we are going to go ahead and remove the wheel hub assembly that comes with the new bearing and all that other good stuff. Remove this old one and replace it with a new one. And so this video is going to show you exactly how to do that. Now the first thing that I want to do here is get the camera set up for you so you can see. We're going to have to remove our spindle nut and socket. Also want to take off my ring. I've seen guys get their rings caught in engines and stuff before working, and it turned out terrible for them. So I never work with my wedding ring on. Alright, so let's go ahead and get there's that and that. Now you always want to replace this with a new one. And then let's go and look for the socket that we need to get that big spindle nut off of there. Alright, so I'm going to use a 32mm socket and my air gun, which at 90 psi pushes 1,000 pounds, in order to get that off. But before I do, to help me out, I'm going to use some PB Blaster here and some penetrating oil. I'm just going to spray that on there. I'm going to go ahead and let that soak. Hope I didn't get any on the camera there. I'm going to go ahead and let that soak for about 10-15 minutes. While I'm letting all these bolts and whatnot soak in PB Blaster, I'm going to go ahead and remove this shielding out of my way so I can go ahead and just have that much extra room for pulling this wheel hub out. I don't want that in the way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. You're going to have 13mm. That'll just give me that much more room to work with. So I can go ahead and pull this off. Now you can have 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3. They're going to be back behind here. Do not expect this to come off very easily at all. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this spindle nut off. There's a few different names for this. You can call it a spindle nut, axle nut, spindle axle nut, whatever you want to call it, honestly. So I'm going to take a pry bar, I'm going to stick it in here, I'm going to use that to hold it, keep this from turning. Alright, so as you can see, this wants to try to kick our butt. So I soaked it some more in penetrating oil. We're going to see if we can just use the gun to get this off of here. If not, there will be other methods that we can use. Ah, there we go. Yay! Use our magnet here, get our big washer off of there. All right. Now then, be careful hitting the end of this. You never want to hit it too hard. You just want to give it a few taps. Actually, it doesn't hurt to put something up there to hit. Get that axle pushed out of there. That way we can go ahead and get our wheel bearing off. Okay, so now we want to move towards the back and work on these big bolts back here. So I'm going to run and grab ratchet and sockets and all that other good stuff. Alright, now I'm using a 15mm socket with a breaker bar so I can get in here, get the leverage I need to at least get this stuff loose. There we go. Now then, I should be able just to use my ratchet to get in here. My jacket's in the way there. Sorry about that, guys. One. Two. And three. Now for the real fun part, that's going to be getting this wheel hub off. Do not expect it to be easy. Looks like it's begun to come off. So we will just continue to work it off. Fun times, huh? I'm gonna go get a punch. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'd like to point out to you that in my line of work, there is always more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, now I've got a slide hammer that you can use, hook onto one of your studs here, have a claw and grab this, bam, 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 hit it and get it out. But not all of you do-it-yourselfers have some of these tools like a slide hammer. So you can use pry bars, giant dikes. Heck, you could even use a screwdriver just to get it started in between here. You could use a large chisel. You just have to be careful not to damage the steering knuckle and all that other stuff when you're working with it. So don't go crazy. Just be patient. Take your time. And if you're patient with it, 9 times out of 10, you will emerge victorious. Let's see, there you go. Come on. And there you go. There's the removal of your wheel hub. Bad wheel bearing. Look at that. That whole thing's just... Alright, so there's removal. So now I'm going to go in. I'm going to clean all this up inside of here. I'm going to get prepared to install my my good wheel hub with wheel hub assembly with my good wheel bearing in it. I'm going to pause it now. I need to go wash my hands. Alright, so I'm just using some penetrating oil. It's rust in here. Rust and corrosion and dirt and grime. Get this cleaned up. It'll also make installation go a lot smoother. There we go. Okay, so gonna let that soak and dry up. I'm gonna go get some assembly lube, lube it up in here. That'll make, again, installation easier. Alright, so now that we've got this cleaned up a little bit, got some of that debris out of there. Gonna use a dash of assembly lube here. Just to make it easier to put back together. Sorry about that. I had to go get the assembly lube cut open. I don't like leaving you hanging too long there. Don't need a whole lot. I'll go ahead and put some on the splines of the axle here. And this will aid in making sure this goes together nice and smooth. Okay, now then, come on, get on there. There we go. And assembly is in the same way that you took it off. Won't hurt you to tap that in a little bit. Go ahead and get everything started by hand. And get everything tightened up. You go ahead and go back with your breaker bar and get everything really tightened. There we go. And last but not least, this guy may be a little hard to get into, you know. There you go. And you now have your wheel hub installed. Go ahead, get your bolt back on there. And actually, don't get a step ahead of yourself like I just did. Where'd you go, Mr. Washer? There you are. There we go. Make sure your axle, you have no space back here. It's all the way through. Don't forget to put your washer back on, then put your bolt back on. And there you go, folks. That's how you install a wheel hub assembly on a Dodge Durango. Now I need to run and get a new pin here and go ahead and do that. So all you got to do is finish putting everything back together. Put your rotor back on. Just like that. You got to put your brakes back on. And they should fit back on there, no different than the way they came off. Shouldn't be a big deal. And get all that back together. We can spray this rotor off real quick. Clean all that back up. Now remember, got your brake pins. This one got in the way a little bit here. Just line your brake pins back up. And same for the bottom here. Come out of there. There we go. Okay, there's no need to replace brake fluid or anything of that sort because you didn't open up your brake line, you didn't introduce any air to the system. So you should be good to go there. Just make sure that before you start the car, get in and pump the brakes up a little bit. This is the fun part, is getting this clip back in. Let me tell you. Ah, come on. Come on, there we go. There we go. Make sure everything turns. Yay! And there you go. Now all you gotta do is put your tire back on and you're good to go to get down the road. I need to run up and grab another pin for this, so I don't think you need me for anything else. And we're done. I also need to put my shield back on, but I'll go ahead and get that. I just wanted to give you an idea of how to get it all back together. Okay, folks, this is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with me. If you have any questions, give me a holler. I really enjoy speaking with you guys over the phone, over email. If you need any help getting through anything, I can help you out, walk you through procedures, all that other good stuff. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with me and watching my videos. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for subscribing. I am signing off.